Oh my gosh, guys, it has been way too long. It's time to have a conversation about where I've been. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So you can tell by the title, today I'm going to be talking about how childbirth essentially caused my immune system to kind of crash and reboot and have some issues that's going on. I've had to do some serious healing mentally, physically, and spiritually. And the truth is, this has been a long time coming. For years after my son was born, I was really finding myself in and out of the emergency rooms with symptoms I could not explain. Doctors could not explain. Some of my symptoms immediately that I saw were like really bad cystic acne. My hair was falling out and my scalp was completely inflamed. It was terrifying. I had chest pain, panic attacks, stomach issues, heart rate rapidly increasing at rest. It was crazy, insane, and it all happened postpartum. So if you've ever experienced health scares postpartum, you know that doctors really do not take you seriously and they chalk everything up to postpartum depression and like maybe it's all in your head and eventually anxiety. But I did go on to get diagnosis like costochondritis was one of the first diagnoses I ever received, fibromyalgia, painful bladder syndrome, the list goes on and on. But none of this made sense to me. And all of these diagnoses like really didn't mean anything to me because I just wanted to understand why my body felt like it was getting worse and worse and why it felt like it was out of my control. I'll never forget that my late mother said that she remembered that she got sick after she gave birth. And my mom actually passed away years ago from lupus nephritis. Ultimately, that was also my fear. So I also had this mental thing going on in my mind, like, oh my gosh, like the same thing is going to happen. And it really didn't help because I also had a positive ANA, which is like a telltale sign sometimes of like systemic lupus and other autoimmune diseases. So after a while, and after like speaking with normal doctors, I decided to finally go the functional medicine doctor route. So I paid for a high ticket functional medicine doctor and I was ready to like really get down to the root of it. And I remember one of the first things that I was tested for, she ran this functional medicine panel through normal lab like Quest Diagnostic, and the labs were like testing for normal things, you know, so checking your kidney function, liver function, but also something called EBV and Lyme. And she did this like visual test testing for mold. And I literally thought this lady was out of her mind because I'm like thinking, ma'am, like this is my immune system. Obviously, like I have a positive ANA, like how can this be? Like how can I stop this? So I literally ignored the results to that functional medicine doctor and I just moved on and I looked for specialists like to look into my thyroid health and all of these things. But like years later, I realized that I was brushing off this functional medicine doctor. The answer was like right in my face. So when I finally stopped because I wasn't getting any answers from any of the specialists, I went back and I listened to the recording from the functional medicine doctor that I had, and I pulled out all my labs and I just like started researching everything, and it was like the answer was right there in my face. I read the blood work and it was clear that I had 2 Lyme positive bands and my Epstein-Barr virus numbers were extremely high. And based on my research, I had clear signs of mold exposure, which is often referred to as chronic inflammation response syndrome, if I can recall. What really made things clear to me was when my new functional medicine doctor, which I have now, told me point blank period, because I'm like, how do I make sense of all of this? How do I heal this? She told me, you have immune dysregulation. your immune system is taxed and is working constantly because of the Lyme and the Epstein-Barr virus and the mold. But a healthy immune system would be able to suppress this stuff. So on top of that, you're raising a child on the autism spectrum and you're working full time and you're in a stressful work environment. And I think that's when everything finally made sense to me, because like many doctors, I was waiting for like that big diagnosis of like lupus due to, you know, my mom's history and the positive ANA. But here's something that I did find in my research. Pregnancy and childbirth can actually trigger an immune collapse and also autoimmune conditions, especially if you already have, unbeknownst to me, underlying infections or chronic stress, or you have a history of autoimmune disease in your family. There's actually real research on this. Studies show that pregnancy can cause like the remission of autoimmune symptoms. I remember my lash tech at that time. I was pregnant and I was getting my lashes done, and she actually had lupus, but she would always tell me she had the best pregnancies. And as I was doing my research and I was on all these boards, a lot of women who had autoimmune diseases would say like during pregnancy, they're in total remission of their autoimmune disease. And I'm like, when I tell you, I had like one of the best pregnancies compared to like my friends. I did have like headaches and back pain, but compared to like my other friends, like I had like a great pregnancy. As soon as I had my son, like a few months later, like all hell broke loose. And studies actually show how high stress events can trigger or turn on autoimmune disease conditions that are possibly in remission, and sometimes things that you've never even experienced. So a lot of people like my mom and many, many other people end up having autoimmune conditions after having their child, which is a stressful thing on a woman's body. With the help of my functional medicine doctor and also my Lyme literate doctor, I am now in a full reset mode. And I have been doing some things, but just not consistently over the years. But right now I've committed to a 90-day immune and nervous system reset. It's important to me that I'm working with a functional medicine doctor and a Lyme literate doctor, because I do not want to do this by myself, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. What I'm doing at home, aside from my protocols that I've gotten from my functional medicine doctor and my Lyme literate doctor, are all mostly nutrition based, as well as some biomedical biohacking, which I'm actually looking forward to. I've done some of these things like on and off over the years, but I do have now more of a consistent schedule, so I can actually track and monitor what's working and what's not. So when it comes to nutrition, for the first 30 days of my 90-day healing protocol, I'm going to be doing something that's called hypernourishing. And if you're familiar with the Dr. Brooke Goldner with Goodbye Lupus, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, hypernourishing is basically getting in at least 1 pound of cruciferous vegetables a day. For me, I'm going to be doing that through smoothies and salads and pretty much just eating raw for a full 30 days. The next component to my healing protocol is spirituality, and it's extremely important because it ties back into like the mental load of this all. So you can see that I already had these negative thoughts about, you know, what happened with my mom. And one thing that I had to realize is that my mother's story is not my own. I have lost so much sleep, being up late, researching for hours, crying, and allowing my thoughts to like basically consume me. I cannot stress enough how damaging not sleeping is. Sleep is vital to healing. And I'm telling myself that again. And I'm like, baby, the research will be there in the morning. Okay, clock it. Just let it go and go to sleep by any means necessary. You need to sleep. I'm working very hard to also reignite my faith, because I feel like a lot of times when you're dealing with things like this, you feel like it's all on you. Going through chronic illness, it really shakes your faith like completely. So I'm really working on not trying to strive in my own strength, because it's not enough. It's not enough. So I want to be clear. The information that I'm going to be sharing in this series is not at all me giving you medical advice. I'm no expert at this. I have not figured it all out, but I am back on here being raw and vulnerable with some really good support from my team of doctors and specialists to share what's working and what's not. So if I can help literally even one woman avoid years of confusion and dismissal from clueless doctors about these types of conditions, I have done my job, and this channel is serving its purpose. And what is so crazy is that I kept putting off coming back to YouTube specifically because I wanted to come back and be perfect. I wanted to be the weight that I wanted to be. I wanted to basically be the old me. And I wanted to wait for this nightmare I felt that I was in to finally be over. But what I've realized through all of this is, for the most part, at least for right now, this is my new self. And whatever I don't like, I can work to fix. If you've ever felt like your body is screaming, but no one is listening, I hope that this video has resonated with you, especially if you're still clueless with, your doctors and they're saying all of your blood work looks good. I beg you, look into getting a functional medicine doctor and get some functional panels done so that you can really dig deeper to see if these types of conditions are affecting you. As always, if this video has resonated with you and you're ready to follow along this journey that I'm going to be sharing of my healing and just building the life that I actually want to live, then please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and that you're watching the videos all the way through, and that you are commenting, because I really would love for this community to be built and for us to hold space for each other, for you to hold space for me, because there's not a lot of girls out there sharing their story who looks like me, who has these types of conditions. And this really has felt isolating over the years. And a lot of women don't know that this is even going on in their body. Lyme disease and mold illness, Epstein-Barr virus can be diagnosed as something else, or the root cause of conditions, autoimmune conditions, and you feel like you're stuck with this for the rest of your life. There's always something that you can do as long as you are still living and breathing. I love to have a community of people just healing and growing together. Videos will be posted weekly, and as always, love a lot, learn something new today, and be unapologetic about your happiness. I'll see you in my next one. This bang, oh my gosh, it's getting on my nerves, y'all. I mean, I love it, but it's just all up in my face.